Okay, here we are. We are going to take on Kilrian with this new build. Let's see how it does. It did pretty well. It did pretty well. I'd have to say it doesn't get much easier than that to kill a boss. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Simple Duck here, and welcome to the build video here for my Drain Essence Necromancer for Grim Dawn. This guy is incredible. Finally got him up to level 100, got him geared up. He's not completely finished. There are still some things that I think I can upgrade, but for the most part, this build is coming along really, really well, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So let's dive into it. So let's start off here by taking a look at our gear and our stats. So you can see on our stats here, resistances are looking very, very nice. We've got our resists up right where we want them. Defensive ability, offensive ability. So our defensive ability, it's looking good. It's looking good. We're sitting at almost 2,500 there, which I think is pretty nice. We could still use a little bit more, but for right now, this is actually doing quite well. Offensive ability, we're just shy of 3K. Just shy of 3K. It's working very well. You can see our crit chance, 25%. That's awesome. With as fast as we hit and as many things as we have ticking at one time, 25% crit chance is very, very good. And we have a massive amount of crit damage, so that always helps. So what gear are we wearing? Let's start off with the weapons, since that's what I mentioned here. We're using, I'm not even going to be able to pronounce this right, but the mythical Jaravuk's Bite. I don't know if I said that right or not, but that's what we're using here. So this is important, and it's very, very strong for this build because it's giving us a few things that we need. Number one, it's got huge Aether damage on it, which Aether is our main damage type for this build. So we've got a lot of Aether damage. We've got 8% crit damage, which, once again, crit, very important for this build. So we've got a lot of crit damage there. We have 4% offensive ability. That is huge. That's so good. So good. And then +1 Drain Essence, +1 all Necromancer. The skill Terror, 100% chance when hit by a melee that they're going to go running away. Awesome. I like that, right? That's good. We have the Seal of Corruption on that, which is giving us another 50% Aether damage and 3% offensive ability. And it gives us the skill Aether Corruption, which is going to be our AoE dot. Now this thing, you put it on one target, but it spreads like crazy. It's like a plague. This thing just goes everywhere, and it deals really nice damage. You can see it's got a little bit of lightning damage, but it's got really nice Aether damage, and it lowers their Aether resistance. It lowers their casting and attack speed, so they're hitting you less. So Aether Corruption, very, very strong for this build because of that resistance debuff. Our legs, mythical Wraithborn leg wraps. So this is giving us +3 to Spectral Wrath. Spectral Wrath is very important because it deals a ton of damage, and it also lowers their resistance. It lowers Aether resistance by a lot. So +3 to Spectral Wrath is very, very good. Our relic is Impurity. we're running Impurity for a couple reasons. Number one, Impure Blast. It's just cool. When people kind of swarm around you, 15% chance on attack. And again, we've got a lot of things ticking really fast. So 15% chance on attack that this thing is going to go off. It's going to deal Vitality and Aether damage. I mean, look at those numbers. That's huge. And it also does 15% damage converted to health on that. So very, very good there. Belt. Right now we've got the Mythical Cord of Violent Decay. This belt is nuts. This belt is absolutely crazy. I don't know if there's a better belt out there for this kind of build, but look at this thing. 50% poison and acid resist, 14% pierce, 75 OA. 75! And then we still get Vitality Decay, and Aether damage. It gives us +2 to Drain Essence, +2 Hungering Reach, and +1 All Arcanist. All three of those are very useful, so very cool. We've got that with Ugdenbog Leather and Mankind's Visual for the Augment. The Metal. Now, the Metal is kind of up in the air. You could change this out with something better if you have it. I, however, do not have anything better at the moment. So, this is giving you Aether damage, casting speed, pierce resist, chaos resist. Pierce and chaos have been the hardest two for me to come by on this build. So having both of those on one piece has been really cool. +4 to maximum pierce resist, which is why we're sitting at 84% there. And then +3 elemental balance. Elemental balance. That's really good because elemental balance is a big crit damage modifier. So very cool there. Our boots. Mythical Dreadwalker foot pads. So again, there might be better boots out there, but for now, I really, really like these boots. So Vitality, Aether, Vitality Decay, those are the only damage types that we're doing are those three. And we have them all here again on one piece. 8% movement speed. We've got physical resist, which is always nice. Pierce resist, +2 to Drain Essence, and 100% chance when hit that they get feared. Again. So, yeah, that has a 1-second recharge, and they get feared for 5 seconds. It's crazy. Things hit you once, and then they're off running, and you're standing there draining them. We're also using Mythical Aether Reach for the gloves. You get Aether damage, you get energy regen, Aether and Elemental Resist. We're getting +2 to Reap Spirit. We're getting 2 seconds off the recharge for Reap Spirit, which is very powerful. And we're getting the Aether Cascade, which does a boatload of damage. It affects 5 targets, 2-second cooldown, 10% chance on attack, up to over 12,000 Aether damage. Really, really strong when that thing crits. Alright, and here is our set. Here's our set items. We're using the Ouroboros set. Ouroboros guys. So, the set is important for a number of reasons, but you can see just on the piece up there at the top, +2 decomposition, +2 hungering reach. Those are both passives off of Drain Essence that increase crit damage, the number of targets you hit, flat vitality damage to the skill. So very good there. We're getting nice resists, health, all of our damage types. So this works perfectly for Drain Essence. And we're using this set. If you look through the set bonuses, 2-piece increases all our damage. Nice. 3-piece, bunch of health and energy. Nice. 4-piece, +2 all Necromancer skills. That is super important. That is so nice. And the 5-piece is just... oh, the 5-piece just makes this set work. The 5-piece is what makes this build work for higher end content here, which is 18% crit damage. Awesome on its own, but over 2,000 Aether damage to Drain Essence, and we're converting 66% of the vitality damage that Drain Essence does into Aether. Now, when you convert that damage into Aether, because our Aether multiplier is higher, so is that damage. It's not just taking 66% and moving it over, and it's the same 66%. It's actually getting bigger because of our Aether modifier. So, amazing there. So that's our shoulders, our offhand. There's actually 5 pieces. So shoulders, offhand, the head, the amulet, and the chest all go to this set. You can see they all basically give very similar stats, but they have different skills that they add to. So the chest gives you Harbinger of Souls and Decomposition. The head is giving us +2 to Drain Essence. It's giving us more flat Aether damage to Drain Essence, more crit damage to Drain Essence, and Terrify Retaliation on Spectral Binding. Another fear. Crazy, right? Crazy. The eye is giving us +2 Harbinger of Souls, +2 to Mark of Torment, +1 second duration on Siphon Souls, and 2,000 flat Aether damage to Siphon Souls. That is so nice. Our rings, right now I'm just using Mythical Life Giver. It's not really the greatest ring, but it's all I have at the moment. 7% attack damage converted to health. That's actually benefiting us quite a bit with our devotions. So we have that. We also are getting a big chunk of health. DA resists, but the skills, Soul Harvest and Necrotic Edge, we're not using those, so they don't actually do anything for us. The granted skill, Life Taker, that does go off fairly often. Does go off pretty often, and gives us a nice little heal. And you can see it does 25% main hand damage, which means that the 7% attack damage converted to health is benefiting that, so there's one thing there. And our other ring, Screams of the Aether. So I just picked this up. Very cool ring. We're getting Aether damage, 15% damage to Ethereals and Aether Corruptions. That is crazy good. Some energy regen cast speed, 26% elemental resist, which is very important because elemental was actually really hard to come by with this build too. 15% chance of Terrify Retaliation, so another form of fear. So I think altogether that's one form there. There's where was the other one? There's 2 there. Here's 3. Here's 4. So we've got a lot of forms of fear on this build. But back to the ring here. Screams of the Aether, the skill. 100% chance when you get hit by a melee. Now it does have a long cooldown, but it's a 100% chance that this is going to go off. And it's an AoE around you. Terrifies the target. So there's 5. When that goes off, that's a fifth form of fear. Fears the target, which, again, AoE around you, so it's going to fear a lot of people. But look at the damage. Almost 22,000 Aether damage on that thing. Crazy. Absolutely crazy damage there. And on both rings we have Runebound Topaz. And on the amulet, since I missed this, we have the Focusing Prism. We're getting a little crit damage, little tiny bit of spirit, but we're getting minus 10% skill energy cost, which is very important for Drain Essence because it is expensive. Very expensive. Runebound Topaz, and all 3 jewelry pieces are using Survivor's Ingenuity for the augment. That, I gotta thank my buddy Mike for that one. He's got a YouTube for Grim Dawn. Extremely good, extremely knowledgeable about the game. So I'll link that in the description. You guys can check him out. He's got a lot of cool builds. But he turned me on to this one, and I have to agree with him. It has got to be the best augment in the game for your jewelry. 20% all damage, so between the 3 you're getting 60% all damage, which is nice. You're getting 2% OA and DA from both, so again 6% to both of those very important stats. So very, very good augment for those. Now, this took way longer than I wanted it to, so quickly through the skills. On the Arcanist side, we're running Iskander's Elemental Exchange, 12 out of 12. That's basically just for our energy regen. We have Elemental Balance, which, again, just for the crit damage. Just for the crit damage, we're at 16 out of 12 there. Mirror of Oraktis, 12 out of 12. Maven Sphere, however you want to pronounce it, 12 out of 12 again. And we put 1 point into conversion, and because we have that belt that gives us +1 all Arcanist, that gives us 2, so we have 10% reduction to Stun, Freeze, Petrify, and Slow. Then, Inner Focus. Very, very important skill here, Inner Focus. It's giving you a big chunk of Spirit, but it's giving you 10% OA. I cannot stress to you enough with this build how important offensive ability is. You need a lot of it. So we've got that. Arcane Will. Again, just 1 point in Arcane Will. And with our gear, it gives us 2. 40% all damage. But basically what this is here for is that anytime we start dropping low on health, we're getting another 5 energy per second. So it's a big energy regen booster there. We also have 1 point in Nullification. This is important. I was not using this before because I read the stats on it. 31 second recharge, 1 second duration, very small radius, and reduces target's elemental damage by 14%. I was like, why is that good? And again, Mike explained to me, read the top, dummy. So I read the top. And if you read it, purges all enemies caught within it of beneficial auras and spells. So it strips off all of your enemies' buffs. So if you're fighting a boss or a nemesis or anything that has some kind of buff, this will strip away all their buffs. And if you're close to them, you can hit them and you at the same time. It also removes any negative effects from yourself. So, very strong there. So, for a 1-pointer, this thing is crazy good. So, Necromancer. The important side here. Start at the top. I've got 11 out of 12 in Siphon Souls. I could have probably bumped this up to 12, and I still might bump this up to 12. But you can see it's doing 5,400 Aether damage. It's converting damage to health. But remember, we had that piece of gear that's also adding 2,000 Aether damage to that. So we're getting a lot more damage than it shows there. So that's really cool. We did take the point here in Seer Souls to convert it from Vitality into Aether. Harbinger of Souls, our exclusive skill here, Harbinger of Souls. This is giving us a lot of damage. It's giving us our Aether, Vitality Decay, but the biggest reason why I take this right now is 10% attack damage converted to health. Doesn't really help with our skills too much, but it does help with our devotions. Now with that said, there is one skill that we're using, one main skill, that attack damage converted to health does affect. And that is Reap Spirit. So Reap Spirit is basically a single target nuke. You can see the damage, 16,000 damage there, plus a big chunk of Vitality Decay, plus 112% main hand damage. Now because it says main hand damage, attack damage converted to health applies. And I think total on this build we have 22%. You're getting 22% of the main hand and the Aether damage back as health. So that's a very strong ability in terms of its damage and its heal. We have Mark of Torment, 10 out of 10. And Mark of Torment is just amazingly strong. 13.8 second cooldown. Not bad. Lasts for 5 seconds. 50% damage absorbed. 260% reflected. So if you're getting hit by a boss, throw this on him, and he's gonna beat himself to death. This skill is so good, and we can rotate that with Mir Varactes. So lots of time where we're taking very little damage and we're healing a ton. Here we are with Spectral Binding, 16 out of 12. Spectral Binding is going to buff our Aether damage. It's going to give us a massive amount of health and a massive amount of OA. And then Spectral Wrath here, as you can see, when you get hit, it's an AoE, so it hits a lot of enemies. And it deals a good chunk of Vitality and Aether damage. But look at the Vitality and Aether resistance reduction. 40%. 40%! That is huge! Right now I'm at 17 out of 10. If I could get it higher, I would, because it's that good. Now, to the important bit here. Drain Essence. 26 out of 16, so we're maxed out on Drain Essence. And you can see 461 per second. Very expensive. It's dealing damage every 0.3 seconds. And that does not take into account your casting speed increases. That's just 0.3 seconds is base. So we are actually ticking faster than that. We have a chance of affecting up to 5 targets. 32% chance, which actually goes off pretty much all the time. Flat Aether damage. 4,574 plus the 2,000 from our set bonus plus what was the other one? Another almost 2,000 from one of the items from the headpiece, I think it was. We're converting that to health, obviously. Hungering Reach, 56% crit damage. Woo! 56% crit damage. Hungering Reach is also what makes this an AoE ability. This is what makes it hit multiple targets, so make sure you get this up. And it adds another 9% attack damage converted to health on Drain Essence. So where it says 10% there, that's actually 19%. And then Decomposition makes it cost more, but we're getting another 2642 Vitality damage. And it's also giving a massive buff to our Vitality Decay damage that's on Drain Essence. And it's reducing the target's offensive ability by 215. That is huge. Alright, so that is the skills done. Let's jump into devotions very quickly here. Very quickly. And I will have a link down in the description also to a Grim Tools for this build. First and foremost, one of what I think is the coolest devotions out there, especially for a build like this where you're all about stealing life and healing and all that, is the Bat. Twin Fangs. So the whole reason you take the Bat is for Twin Fangs. And we have that bound to Aether Corruption, which is our spreadable dot. It has 20% chance every time the dot ticks, and again, it's on a dot that's spreading through everybody. So it's lots and lots of ticks. 20% chance that this is going to go off. It's dealing 3,300 Vitality damage, a little bit of Pierce damage, and 22% main hand damage. 45% of that is converted to health. Plus, we also, again, we have 22% attack damage converted to health just on our character. So that 22% also gets added to this. And because it has main hand damage, that works. And 100% chance to pass through enemies. So when it procs, if there's a big group of enemies around, you're not just getting that damage and heal from one target. You're getting it from every target it passes through. Okay, then we have the Widow. Arcane Bomb. So good. And we have this on Drain Essence. So as we're draining, we're proccing this, drops their OA. It drops their Aether Resist by 35%. So between Spectral Wrath and this, that's 75% of the resists gone. Just like that. So fast. And then our Aether Corruption, I believe, is another 8%. So, I mean, we're stripping off almost all of their Aether resistances. I mean, it's crazy how fast this Aether resistance stuff stacks up. So we've got that. Next up is the Wraith. It's an okay thing, but we took it mainly just for the point. Spear of the Heavens, though. So good. I don't know why you wouldn't want this. You're getting offensive ability, Aether damage, more offensive ability, 5% offensive ability, 10% crit damage, more Aether damage, and the skill. Oh, look at the skill. It's not even maxed level yet. Not even max level. 50% main hand damage. So, you know right there, right off the bat. Main hand damage, so our attack damage converted to health is going to work. And look at the Aether damage. We're at basically 5,700 Aether damage. And it's not even leveled up yet. And it stuns the target. So every time you get hit, this has a 50% chance to go off. It's so good. We have the Viper. That's basically just here for a little bit of resistance, a little bit of OA. We have Chariot of the Dead. Chariot of the Dead gives you a massive amount of offensive ability. So very good. And the skill Wayward Soul, which we just put on Spectral Binding, doesn't really matter where that is, as long as it's on a buff that is on you all the time. 20% chance when you get hit that this goes off. It's going to give you 130 defensive ability, which is very good. And it instantly heals you for 12% of your life. And then over 7 seconds, it continuously ticks for 1550. So this is a very strong heal. Let's see, as we move over here, we have the Eel, which is a nice 3-pointer for a whole bunch of blue points. We have the Lion, again, defensive ability and health, very nice. And that gets us over to the Bard's Harp, which incredibly important, the Bard's Harp. So with the Harp, you're gaining health constitution. You're gaining, this is energy regen, 10%. Getting some resists that you need. Here's more energy regen. You're getting elemental resist, which is important, and inspiration. This is so good. 15% chance when hit. This actually affects your allies. So if you're with friends playing, this affects them too. This gives 7 energy regen per second. So good. It restores 25% of your energy when it goes off, and it gives you 110 OADA. The Hawk, another 3-pointer that is very strong. Harvestman's Scythe. This constellation is like the mecca for regen. So if you're on a build that you need a lot of recovery, whether it's energy, health, this has got it. This just has so many good things that it's hard to leave that out. And especially in a build like this that takes up so much energy, you really need it. And I think with that, we are done with the devotions. Now for the fun stuff. Let's go find some big bad dudes to go kill. I'll see you out there.